What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Hustle with JesseW, and today we're going to go over GME and SNDL. Check it out. All right, guys, so we got SNDL reporting earnings today after the bell at 4 p.m. And then we have GME reporting earnings this month on March 23rd. So maybe we'll do a follow-up video with GME and maybe some of its past earnings and see what's, what one could maybe expect with it this month. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the charts, and it's just going to be purely technical analysis that we're going to do on the daily chart on both of these tickers. But before we move any further, do me a quick favor. If you enjoy this type of content, smash that like button for me. It really goes a long way in helping out the channel with the YouTube algorithm, and we got to feed that one. Also, comment in the comment section below. Let me know what your price targets are on GME and SNDL. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into these charts here. Now, you see SNDL. It's held that dollar mark extremely well, right? Just above 90 cents. It's held that very, very well. And it's jumped off of it. We went over this not too long ago. Today we have earnings. It's held that 130 area we talked about on the last video. Now, I have no position in this thing, but it would be interesting to see how it responds to its earnings. If SNDL has good earnings, maybe the sell-off isn't too bad and it comes down here and test that 50-day moving average at about $1.18, $1.20. Maybe its earnings are amazing and we got a gap up on this thing and there's a round two. It's possible. I don't know what to expect out of its earnings, to be honest with you. All I can do is go back to all its previous earnings. We did this recently and we went over. Most of the earnings were duds and fails. It sold off after each earning. You could see it plain as day on the chart. Each earnings was sold off into. Okay, so if this earnings is anything like any of the others, we could expect a sell-off to occur. It's just the name of the game, right? There's no emotions, just the tickers themselves, right? Just the charts. That's all there is. And I'd say if the earnings are on par, then maybe we got a little sell-off, comes down here to the 50-day moving average, maybe a little bit closer to $1. If the earnings are out of this world amazing, maybe it gets a gap up over $1.75 and tomorrow or the next day it squeezes up over $2. Definitely possible. Okay, that's definitely very possible. Now, maybe the earnings are a complete and utter disaster. And if that's the case, we could see this thing come right back down here to 80, 70 cents. And that'll be kind of hard, right? That'll be kind of hard on the stock. What's not hard is downloading the Webull app. You download the app, you fund your account with $100. You currently get 2 free stocks. And if you want to make sure that trading isn't too difficult to learn, there's my free course down there. You can sign up there for the free course. You're going to get instant access to it. And that way you can basically get an introductory course to the market and how it works and how everything basically moves around. So make sure you check out that free course I'm leaving down there for you. And lastly, check us out at the daytraderchatroom.com for 5 days for $5. I'll leave that link there for you too. Now, if it does, I don't know, I just don't think it will, but if it does get some crazy explosive earnings and this thing gets up over $2, if it holds, you could easily see it creep up to $3. I don't know about it breaking above it, but it can definitely creep up there. I think more than likely, if the earnings are okay to bad, we could see it anywhere between $1.20 to like 82 cents, 80 cents, which is these previous tops you see here to the right. You see those tops across that line, and it lines up with the 100-day moving average. That's basically what I'm thinking on SNDL after today's earnings at 4 p.m. So we'll see. It's like always, I'm giving out both bullish and bearish levels. Okay, there's no emotions here. I don't care about diamond hands and rocket ships. I'm just giving out technical analysis based on the daily chart. Just technical analysis based on the daily chart. Now what we're going to do is move on over to GME and check that one out. All right, guys, so GME, this one is a lot more difficult. All right, they got earnings on March 23rd. And if we scroll back here, I imagine you have an endless amount of earnings. But if we just use the most recent ones, it's not as clear. Even though here we did earnings, sold off. Well, earnings, big sell-off. Earnings, a little sell-off. Then we had earnings, and it actually moved on up. And then we had earnings, followed by a sell-off, and then a big push on upward. With GME, right now, there's something key here that's happened. Okay, there's something key here that's happened, and I'm going to show it to you. I'm just going to put my cursor right there, and you see that line? You see that line to the left and the right? You see that level, how it held? That 165 to 170 level? You see how that held? If you look here, prior resistance, prior resistance, prior resistance, finally broke above it, held it as support on this weird day, and held it on support on this day, which is yesterday. And it held it with a nice increase in volume. And today we've held above it. Okay? That level is important. If that level continues to hold, we could see GME got another little squeeze. Like it could maybe trade like this for a few days and then get another move. Just simply speaking, that's what could happen if that level holds. And that's the key here. No diamond hands nonsense, none of that. The key here is the level. If that level holds, shorts will be getting uncomfortable again and they will begin to cover. And if it gets any sort of hype behind it, this thing could make another move. Now, if that level breaks to the downside, we could see some panic start to happen in here. And if that level breaks to that downside, you have clear room basically back down to the 50-day moving average, which sits just above $100. So that's a ton of room there for downside, and that's what I'll be watching. Now I'll watch to the upside as well, but I think the upside trade's a little bit more difficult just because I think that we could see a lot of selling on pops to that $300 area. It's not to say it can't squeeze back up to $400 or anything like that, but I think some selling to the downside here underneath that key level of 165, 170 could create a panic sell-off. Not at all the world is ending necessarily panic sell-off, but a significant one, deep enough that there's plenty of downside opportunity there for some puts or some shorting if you have shares to borrow, right? That's what I would be looking at here. That's what I'll be looking at moving forward on this one. But right now, I'm not touching it. It's going to have to break underneath that maybe and hold it as resistance. And then maybe at that point, I'll start to get intrigued by it and I'll start looking at it a little bit more serious, a little bit more closely. But right now, those are the levels I'm watching. That 165 to 170. If that continues to hold support, this thing could squeeze. If it breaks down, I think there's a potential sell-off there to at least a 50-day moving average. Okay, so definitely on high watch for me. But right now where it sits, it's kind of like a 50-50-ish, so it's hands off for me. I'm not going to touch that. I refuse to. All right, so those are my thoughts. I definitely want to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comment section below for me. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. All right, hit that notification bell so you're alerted when I upload my next video, and I'll catch you on the next one.